Hi, I'm Grant Rodiak, and I am the designer of Farmageddon. I've been making these videos to promote Farmageddon, and I unfortunately have some bad news. I've been talking about how the game would be available in September, and unfortunately, the shipment is arriving in my house tomorrow, which means we're probably going to be shipping it out in August, which is really cool. So it's not bad news, I lied. We've been doing the pre-order for Farmageddon. It's been 15 bucks. That includes free shipping and the promo cards, and it really helps us out as a small publisher. We paid for this print run entirely out of pocket. And so if you're interested at all in Farmageddon, go to the link down below. It's hyperbolegames.com. You click on our store page, and it's available there. But we've been making a series of videos to talk about Farmageddon and tell you about the overall mechanisms and the changes and the Kickstarter decision and all that. And today I thought it'd be fun to go back and talk about the history of Farmageddon, because the game has a sort of tumultuous past. I have a lot of copies in front of me to walk you through it. So let's do that. So I actually have, I don't know how or why, I have the original version of Farmageddon here in front of me. It is green index cards and red index cards cut in half. I've got melons, 3 compost, sells for 10. Wheat, 1 compost, sells for 4. That tuning literally hasn't changed since the very first test. Then I also have a lot of the same crops. We've got foul manure, thresher, farmer cards. Foul manure, genetic superworm, subsidizer? I have no clue what that is. I think that became foreclosure. Crop rotation. Now, granted, they do all sorts of crazy different things. The game was basically just a stupid take that, just like, I whack you, you whack my crop, whatever. But this is the original version. I started this 2010, 2011. This was the second game I tried to design after my first one was an abject failure. And after the very first game of Farmageddon on this deck, my friends were actually like, huh, that's a lot better than your last game, which is a backhanded compliment for sure, but I really appreciated it, and you know, I went on from there. So not nearly long enough later, I put the game up on GameCrafter, and these are really old GameCrafter cards. Their quality has improved so much. These are square. The cut is weird. They don't really shuffle, but like, look at this layout here. It's nuts. The back is the farmer card. So the game was on GameCraft for like a month or 2 months, maybe 3 months. And this is way back in like 2011, so the site was not what it is now. And I actually became the #1 selling game of all time for a bit. And you can even see on this version, I've got like all sorts of stuff written all over it. That's darn gophers when those were added. At this point, there were the original version had winks to mark whose crop was what, because I didn't put the crops in front of you yet. It had paper money to mark your money, because I didn't think that you could take the money that's on the side. Even the stupid money is on the other side instead of the left side for fanning, and then the fertilizer's down at the bottom left. I kept getting like lots of rules questions and problems, and this is like 5-6 years ago. I wasn't a very good designer at all, and I had to keep fixing it and patching it, and I ultimately decided this isn't good enough, and I just yanked it off the site. And a lot of people thought it was weird, but it was just not good enough, so I took it off. And then I worked on it for 14 more months, and I eventually got it signed by Fifth Street Games, and they published this version. So this went on Kickstarter in February of 2012, after getting signed in January of 2012. Had a month-long Kickstarter. He originally planned to raise $6,000 or $5,000, and he raised $25,000 with about, I think it was like 1,300 backers. So that was really cool, and it was sort of his biggest hit so far as a publisher, so that was really neat. The first print one was 2,700 copies. We sold out in under a year. We got a Parents' Choice Award. That was really awesome. And then he did a reprint where he changed the box. He did a tuck box. I made one clarification in the rule. I remember I didn't include my friend Ryan Vaughn, and I used the word action in multiple places, and I shouldn't have, and so I cleared that up. And then we worked on the expansion. So as a part of the Kickstarter, he agreed, the publisher, as a stretch goal, to give everyone an expansion at $25,000, which in hindsight didn't quite make financial sense for him, but it's what happened. And so I designed I think this is a 15 crop kicker pack, which is 15 new Franken crops, all new art. There's Fiscal Nanner and a lot of fun cards here. And then the Livestock and Loaded, which added weather, livestock, and some new farmer cards. The livestock mechanism is really cool. It adds a nice strategic layer to the game. This was in a warehouse finally in America when he finally declared bankruptcy, And so I got a handful of copies going through Ship Naked, and then somebody bought the inventory, and that's why copies apparently pop up from time to time for sale. I get no money for that. I'm not involved at all. It's kind of crappy, but it is what it is. I got the rights back. A lot of folks keep asking if I plan to republish the expansion, and the answer is I'd love to. Absolutely. I'd love to, like, it's pretty far along, actually. I would love to redevelop it, redo all the art, bring it up to speed for 2017, but folks have to buy the new game first, ultimately. I only did 2,500 copies. Typically, I'd say at a most 15 to 25% of your customers who buy the base game will buy an expansion. There's not really a cost-efficient way to make this a standalone game, which means that if I sell through 2,500 copies and then do an expansion, well, if only maximum 25% of those people buy the expansion, that means minimum printing is 1,500 copies, so the math doesn't quite work out. So I need to probably sell about 5,000 copies of this at least first. But I would love to do this. I would love to do this. What I ultimately plan to do is to redevelop this, simplify some things, just rebalance it, redevelop it, make sure it incorporates perfectly with this. And then I would like to incorporate 2 of each of the Franken crops, like we have for the main deck, into the expansion. Use cardboard tokens instead of cards to mark ownership of the animals for the feed tokens. And maybe add another little twist just to really make it special. And then do the expansion. And so again, it won't be like anything you guys have if you happen to get this. And there, if you like both, that'll be a reason to get both. So now where we're caught up. So we caught up where the bankruptcy happened. So the Fifth Street was actually in talks with a Polish publisher called Treffel, Krakow, to make a Polish and European languages version of Farmageddon when he went bankrupt. And after he went bankrupt, they actually started talking to me. And earlier this year, after a bit of development with them and tweaking, there's actually the Polish version of Farmageddon. I think it's selling decently in Poland. I think it's a relatively small market, but it's doing okay. I don't get a lot of insight to things. That's sort of how things are being a designer. But it looks nice. They did some of the tweaks that I incorporated into the new game, but then I took it further. I think Treffel is a great family game company in Poland, sort of like Hasbro is here in America, where they're all about, or Game Right, they're all about, Game Right's probably more accurate, family games, mass market, hitting more people, and I don't have access to that, and so I have sort of a smaller core gamer audience, which is why I try to take Farmageddon even more in that direction of more strategy, more skillful play, more combos, and so it happens to be a game I personally like more, but I also think it's a game I can sell better to the audience that I have. So we started out with index cards. We're on the Game Crafter for a short bit, developed it for 14 more months, and went on Kickstarter with 1 and 2 printings, which I think sold probably anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 units. Then we had an expansion that never came out. Now we have a Polish version that's out, and now arriving tomorrow are 2,500 copies of Farmageddon, the Farm Fresh Edition. So this one was developed for, probably like hardcore developed for 6-7 months with almost daily testing. Blind testing from me, my core test group, and that's based on 5 years of, data from people playing and asking questions on the market, years of me thinking about it, having Joshua Burgle's assistance. He's my partner on Hocus and various things. He's, credited developer in the game. So, yeah, it's got kind of a long, weird history of, I learned about design and early mistakes on Game Crafter. And I learned about early publishing stuff when my other publisher released it on, Kickstarter, and learned some stuff through Hocus last year. And now I tried to apply all that to the new Farmageddon. So that's a bit of the history. I thought you guys might find it a little bit interesting. So thanks a lot. If you're interested at all in Farmageddon, it's only $15. That includes free shipping, promo. You can go to hyperbolegames.com and at the store page at the top, and you can order a copy right now. And it's going to probably be shipping start next week. So you may even have it before September, which would be really great. So thanks a lot. And if you have any questions, just ask below.